Miraidon EX is one of the cover cards for Scarlet and Violet, and Pokemon TCG Live gives you access to this deck for free as a starter deck on the Battle Pass. This video will show you how to improve your Miraidon EX starter deck into the list piloted by Robert Kinbrum to top 8 at the recent EUIC in order to win games on the ranked ladder on PTCG Live. Firstly, let's talk about why Miraidon is so good. Miraidon EX is a 220 HP basic lightning Pokemon with the ability Tandem Unit, allowing us to go into our deck and search out 2 more basic lightning Pokemon and put them onto our bench. Finding another Miraidon from our Tandem Unit means that we can effectively fill our bench with basic lightning Pokemon in one turn. It also has a reasonably strong attack in Photon Blaster, dealing 220 damage. We will need to increase this damage for it to be a little bit more meaningful, so we're going to mash in another of the starter decks from Pokemon TCG Live and include copies of Regieleki VMAX. This card powers up our basic lightning Pokemon's attacks by 30 damage, meaning that Miraidon EX can potentially hit upwards of 280 damage with 2 Regieleki VMAX in play. Because this is the core strategy of our deck, we're going to increase the counts of these cards to make sure that neither of them are prized. We'll start off our deck with 3 copies of Miraidon EX and a 4/3 line of Regieleki VMAX. These cards will cost you about 4,000 credits to craft on PTCGL, which sounds like a lot, but in reality, we don't need to craft much more than this to make a top tier deck. We need a way to accelerate energy to our Miraidon EX, and instead of using the fluffy line that we're given in the Miraidon EX starter deck, we're going to play the Electric Generator card, which we're given 4 copies of in the Regieleki VMAX starter deck. This will let us look at the top 5 cards of our deck and attach up to 2 electric energies that we find there to our benched electric Pokemon however we like. To get this to work, we're going to need a lot of energy in our deck. I'm going to chuck in about 15 or so. Since we're playing a lot of basic energy, we might also like to play a copy of Radiant Greninja, another free card on PTCGL, for some added consistency. Greninja's concealed cards will allow us to discard an energy from our hand to draw 2 cards from our deck. Doesn't seem like much, but those cards will get us out of a bind if our opponent plays cards like Judge or Roxanne. We might also choose to play another attacker in this list, Raikou V, which also adds some extra consistency as well. Its fleet-footed ability will allow us to draw a card from our deck, which can give us just that little bit more reach in the mid to late game. It also has the benefit of being a 2 energy attacker, meaning we won't rely on hitting every one of our electric generators. We get 1 Raikou for free, but I'm crafting a second one here, which will set us back about 750 credits. Unfortunately, Miraidon EX's Tandem Unit won't search out Greninja, so we'll play some more Pokemon search to make sure we have access to it. In this list, we're running 2 Nest Ball and 4 Ultra Ball, all of which are free on PTCG Live, and are useful to search for both our basics and also our Regieleki VMAX. One of the downsides of Miraidon EX's attack is that if we use it, we can't attack with that Miraidon again next turn. We can overcome this either by being knocked out or by retreating to the bench, but it isn't always reasonable to have multiple Miraidons set up to attack every turn. In order to overcome this, we'll be playing multiple retreat options, including 1 Escape Rope and 3 Beach Court, all of which we receive for free on PTCG Live. Robert also played 4 Switch Cart in his list, costing approximately 400 credits to craft all 4, but you can realistically also play Switch instead if you don't want to trade in those particular credits. I'm also going to add in a few cards that might help us search out specific targets. We've got 3 copies of Cram-o-matic and 2 copies of Forest Sealstone in this list. Both of these cards will help our consistency, even if Cram-o-matic is on a coin flip, and both of them will need to be crafted, costing about 1200 credits for all 5 together. Finally, our supporter lineup is relatively simple, with 4 copies of Professor's Research and 2 copies of Boss's Orders, all free on PTCGL. Research gives us consistent card draw by discarding our hand and drawing 7, and Boss's Orders lets us target specific Pokemon on our opponent's bench, bringing them into the active for us to easily knock them out. We'll also add an extra copy of Echoing Horn, again free on PTCGL, so that we can ensure we always have 2 prized Pokemon on our opponent's bench to KO. We'll also craft 2 copies of Serena to be a bit of a halfway house between Boss and Research. Overall, this list will cost you about 6,000 credits in cards that you can't get for free on PTCGL, and considering the fact that you can build most of this deck for free from scratch, it seems like a very strong contender for your first deck on Pokemon TCG Live. It should also be really strong in climbing the ranked ladder, so we'll jump across there right now and see if we can get this thing to work so you can see its power and consistency in action. Alrighty, let's take a look at Miraidon in action. We'll see if we can't get it to work. I don't know why. My framing's all very strange here. It seems... Is my screen a little bit more zoomed in than usual? I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe I haven't done this in a while. I'm also seeing my mouse on the screen. There it is. Hello, mouse. Okay, this is fine. We're not going to stress it. We're just going to see if Miraidon EX can work. We're up against Lost Box here, so if ever there was a matchup that we were going to lose, it would be this one. Lost Box is obviously a very, very strong deck, and Miraidon does struggle in this form to counter it. But you know what? Regieleki V is very strong. We could theoretically get some wins with that particular card. We'll see whether or not we can, but the key thing for us is we have started with the Miraidon, which means that we're going to have plenty of opportunity to find basic Pokemon. Alright, here we go. It is our turn. We've got a good hand. We've got a Regieleki, which we can throw down onto the bench. And let's just go straight for this tandem unit here. We'll see what we can grab. I'm thinking a Miraidon and a Regieleki. We can fill that bench up here by grabbing another Miraidon. We get another access to tandem unit, which means we can grab Raikou and another Regieleki. And just like that, our board is pretty stacked. I would love some energy off of this electricity generator, but it was not to be. What we might do here, we might research away this hand, just get rid of those cards and see if we can't hit another electricity generator. Maybe this time we can hit an energy, and we can. So we'll throw that down onto the Raikou, and like I said in the introduction, this is why Raikou is such a good card in this deck. Not only is it super, super good at being able to draw some extra cards, but it's also a good attacker for us early. If we didn't have Raikou V in our deck, we would never have taken this knockout this turn. We would have instead had to pass, and I think that, especially against decks like Lost Box, that is a very big benefit. Now, we are in a bit of a strife here, because if our opponent does evolve into their Gudra V-Star, they could very easily knock our Raikou out, which is not something that we want to see happen, but Lost Box does sometimes find themselves in a bit of an awkward spot early doors. So we'll wait and see whether or not this is going to be an issue. They go for another Comfey Flower Selecting to Lost Zone a card and put one into their hand. That'll be the top two cards of the deck they're looking at now. And yeah, you can see just how quickly we can get ourselves set up. We have Forest Sealstone in our hand, so we can get into any card in our deck if we want it. We have 4 basic Lightning Energy in our hand, which is a little bit wonky. It's not necessarily ideal, but better to be in our hand than in the discard pile, although with the research in our hand, they may well find their way there very shortly. We'll wait and see what our opponent does, though, because there's a very real chance that they don't get an attack here. Colress's Experiment gets them that little bit closer, and they are probably pretty close to 7 now. We won't worry about checking. We'll just wait and see. There's no point checking these things, because the second that you check, the second that they get all the cards that they need to get in there. So they're going to Lost Zone 2 cards from the top 5 of their deck, and we'll see whether or not they have access to a Mirage Gate. We've given them the retreat. They do not, by the looks of it. So let's get started. We've got a Cram-o-matic here and a Forest Sealstone that we could throw down. I'm very happy with this. We might just play this Cram-o-matic. We don't necessarily need the Switch Cart right now. A Tails is a bit disappointing, but you know what? We can't have everything. Now, remember, of course, we do have 15 Lightning Energy in our deck, but if we discard these 4, we are going to be in a weird spot. So I'm kind of thinking here, maybe I just attach one of these and fleet-footed. We'll see what we get off the top here. An Electric Generator is very, very nice. No energy though, so we are really, really struggling to get those energies into play. We've used Electric Generator 3 times and only gotten 1 energy, so now's probably the time to try and draw some cards. Getting a Regieleki VMAX is good. Let's get the Electric Generator. We've missed it again! We got 1 energy from 4! Oh my goodness. Okay, well, I mean, if we win this, then something miraculous has happened. God, just atrocious. This is the downside of Regieleki and Miraidon. We have spent... Oh my goodness, what's happening here? We have spent 4 Electric Generators here and received 1 energy. So that is not ideal. But hey, it's gonna be fine, right? Because if we can... This is the thing. If we can win this game, then we can prove that this deck is strong even without Electricity Generator. Jeepers creepers. We're desperate to not get knocked out this turn, I will say this much. If we do get knocked out this turn, which it looks like we will because they found the Mirage Gate, then we are going to really need to get lucky I don't think that there's realistically a way that we can attack this turn. So instead what we need to do is we need to start gearing ourselves up to be able to take one-hit knockouts on these Hisuian Goodras. And that's going to be really, really hard because their Rolling Iron attack is going to reduce the amount of damage that they take by 80 every single turn. So we effectively need to be dealing 350 damage into this Goodra in order to take a knockout in one hit. And at the moment, our Photon Blaster from Miraidon's doing 220 plus 30 with the Regieleki VMAX in play. So 250 is not quite 350, but there is a world in which we do make this knockout. We're going to Nest Ball away and grab a rare Radiant Greninja here, then we can concealed cards and discard an energy to draw 2. Not necessarily the most ideal card that we've ever seen in our life, but you know what, it's fine. We are going to bench a copy, or bench an energy here, and then we are going to use our what do you call it? What's the word that I'm looking for? Sorry, I'm trying to think and play at the same time, and it's just not a good idea. We're going to use our Forest Hill Stone. We're going to search out an Escape Rope here, but unfortunately, because we discarded that Regieleki VMAX early, we aren't going to ever be able to get to enough damage to knock out this Goodra V-Star if they're Rolling Iron, and that could potentially be a really, really big problem. You can see here, they are going to take 2 prizes. They're going to Rolling Iron us, take the knockout. Now, we've got an Escape Rope, which means that if we find Boss, we might be able to steal a KO, but we are in a really, really awkward spot. We would have much preferred to have taken another knockout at some point in this game. Let's go for the Ultra Ball. He'll get rid of the Nest Ball and the, whatever I discarded, I can't remember. Let's go for our second Regieleki here. And then I'll try and draw a couple of cards with Greninja. Maybe we can find the boss here. Maybe we can just rip it off the top. We fight Serena, actually. That's incredible. Okay, so that's definitely useful. We can retreat into Miraidon. Then we can Serena Gust to bring up the benched Goodra. And then we can Photon Blaster. Now, that's going to do 280 damage. But most importantly, it's going to take a knockout. And it's very, very difficult to see how our opponent can take a knockout with Goodra V-Star this turn. They are a little bit limited in their damage output, and remember they can't use Choice Belt to knock out this Miraidon EX if they do play it, because Choice Belt only works on Pokemon V. Pokemon like Miraidon are EX Pokemon, which means they aren't impacted by that particular card. So at the moment, there is not 2 prizes on our opponent's side, or on our side of the field, for our opponent to take advantage of. They could theoretically still win the game if they're able to knock out one of our Miraidons, but it's not necessarily super likely, and I think what we're going to see here is we're going to see a potential attack from Radiant Greninja, and if that's the case, we might be able to just draw our way into a victory because of our Escape Rope, or if we find our way into a boss. Definitely potentially possible. If they attack us here, they're going to do 200 damage, and then they give us a chance, right? We get given an opportunity if they do attack. It's a slim chance, but it's a chance, and that's the most important thing. And just imagine, if we'd been able to hit 1 or 2 of those electricity generators earlier in the game, we might have just been able to win this one a turn sooner. Now, they are going for the Rolling Iron, so it's very, very possible here that if we find Boss, oh my goodness, can we hit the Cram-o-matic? Okay, I was going to Ultra Ball, but I think now we concealed cards, because if we draw into the boss, we don't need to worry. There's a Switch Cart and a Beach Court. We could Cram-o-matic away the Switch Cart. Let's just think here. Oh, we could draw a card with Raikou as well. Okay, let's Escape Rope. We're going to go for it here. We've got 12 cards in deck. We've definitely got Boss's Orders left, so I think we are in a position to be able to win this one. We just need to draw into the boss. So, let's fleet-footed here. We'll draw a card, and then if we don't get the boss, we've got a 50-50 with Cram-o-matic. We didn't get the boss, so let's go for the 50-50 with Cram-o-matic. We're going to get rid of the Switch Cart. Let's see if we can hit the heads. Yes, okay. Alright, grab the boss. Oh, beautifully done. And you can see just why Miraidon is so strong. Boss's Orders bringing out that Hisuian Goodra. We throw down one of our 2 Beach Courts and then retreat into our Miraidon. Photon Blast now doing 280 damage. And we knock out the Hisuian Goodra, which, as I mentioned before, was almost impossible to knock out, but we managed to find a way. And just remember, this was after we had played 2 of those electricity generators for nothing. 3 of them, actually. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. I'll catch you all next time for more from the Sableyes. Bye-bye.